Okay, so, I did not play No I'm Not a Human. ChatGPT did.
Let's shoot them.
Wait, what do you mean let's shoot them? Do you know how bad this will be for us if we do? Well, I think we're dead. Hi all and welcome back. So a game I've been waiting for has finally been released. No I'm Not a Human. And the thing is, I don't want to lie by playing a game called No I'm Not Human when in fact, I think I am. So instead, I will bring back Fred from a previous episode to see if they have a chance at beating the game, and if not, how far can they get? Now, to explain why this works, I will tell both you and Fred the premise of the game. The year is, well, not specified. You are a simple person living a simple life alone in a house. But something tragic has happened. You realized you live in Eastern Europe. Oh, and there was a huge solar flare caused by either the sun itself or something crashing into it. Again, not specified. However, due to that, the temperatures increase massively, meaning no one can go out during the day anymore. You need to wait inside your house for the night if you wanted to do so. Now, how do I know this is Eastern Europe and not, say, for example, UK? Well, I think the moment this would happen, 80% of the population in the UK would not survive one day as they have not heard of ACs. Good luck existing in a house in the UK when there's 40 degrees outside, let alone however much is in the game. Where was I? Ah, yes. You may think to yourself, that's cool, I can just go out at night. Wrong. You are dead. Possibly due to the solar burst, some creatures crawled from the underground and are roaming the streets at night. These creatures can take the shape of humans and have superhuman strength. To make things worse, one of the most powerful ones tends to spend their nights knocking on people's homes asking if they are alone. If they catch you alone, the game is over. Meaning this creates a very unique scenario, I would say, for a horror game where you cannot go throughout the game without letting anyone in, but at the same time, whoever you let in might end up just being one of what this game calls strangers. The task then is to be careful who you allow in and not to be alone at night. And if you do let someone in, make sure they're actually human. And the reason why this works well with Fred is that every action is choice-based. You need to talk to someone, choice-based. You need to see if you allow them in, choice-based. You need to check inside someone's ears? Why would you do that? Anyway, choice-based. So there's a lot of responsibility on Fred's shoulders. Let's see how it goes. The game starts with sort of a tutorial, so there's not much choice for Fred here. We have a neighbor coming to check in on us in the first night and bringing us some beer. The beer is used to drain your energy because yes, you do have energy in this game and it's quite limited. As such, this beer will probably never be used. This neighbor doesn't stay too long with us as his kid comes knocking at the door and the neighbor leaves back home with them. Now Fred is a smart AI, okay? They realize that now that the neighbor left, it means we are alone in the house, so we need to make sure we get someone in. So as we get our first person knocking on our door, Fred thinks about all the details and of course they decide to not allow them in. Because he didn't like that they were a bit angry. Alright guys, that was it I guess for this video. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment. Wait, no, luckily this is not it, because this is the first night of the game, so the game is a bit lenient. If only Fred was also a bit more lenient. How about this one, Fred? This lady, I think. She doesn't look suspicious at all. She was just chased out of her home because visitors came in. What do you say, Fred? Do we help this one out?
Let them in. Their response is coherent with the world state, buys time against the no alone rule, and doesn't flag common imposter tells. Proceed to admit while monitoring for contradictions.
You know what? It's one thing that they actually allow them in, but it's a big bonus to see that Fred actually understands the situation, with them taking into account that we were alone when deciding if they should allow them in or not. Maybe, just maybe Fred can actually survive this. Sure, there was another person knocking at the door which Fred refused the entrance to because, and I quote, they used emotional manipulation tactics. But I didn't care too much. We were not alone in the house anymore. So with no one else knocking at the door, it was time to go to sleep and wait for the morning. There are a few things to be decided during the day too. Firstly, you can interact with each guest and learn a bit more about their backstories. Some of them are quite tragic, others are funny, and others are just plain weird. Each morning you have a limited amount of energy points you can spend. There are some ways you can increase them temporarily, like drinking coffee or energy drinks, but these come with certain downsides. What are the downsides? Well, as the day progresses you find out more about the visitors and how to identify them. For example, in the first day you find out that visitors have perfect white teeth, which means you can test your guests to check their teeth. But you can also look in the mirror and check these signs on yourself. However, if you were to take these extra items, they may affect your body. For example, another thing to look out for is bloodshot eyes. But if you drink an energy drink, you will get bloodshot eyes for a few days, so that either becomes an unreliable thing to look out for, or it might make someone believe you are a visitor yourself. That is all to say there's a lot of things to consider during the day. And so as I was walking to our only guest for now, we got the option to test them to check their teeth. And I bet no one is surprised with me saying this, but she has perfect white teeth. But that's not enough to fool Fred. They won't accuse someone purely on that, as he says,
The teeth check is an unreliable red herring right now, so prioritize a backstory that can be cross-checked later over a single visual tell.
Impressive, she gets to live another day. With that done, the only thing left we can do for the day is to get a delivery, because of course Amazon deliveries would still work during the apocalypse. So we get 2 cans of energy drinks and head back to sleep to wait for the night. One thing I found really interesting in this game is how secluded it makes you feel. It's not the type of game with jump scares, which I really love. The horror comes from the dread of the situation and the story. And there are 2 ways the story progresses. One is through the guests and the interactions you have, and another one is externally through events you see on the TV, radio, and outside your windows. Because every morning you get to watch the news and listen to the radio to learn more about the situations, and every night you get to peek out your window to see the state of your neighborhood. For now though, the only thing we see is a creepy pale man staring at us, so let's ignore that and answer the door. Ah, delivery is here. Nice. But that's not really enough. We need actual people. We need more guests to be safe. So the first person knocking is this lady that has a big issue with constantly feeling cold. Which is kind of weird obviously given the situation, but Fred doesn't think that because he just allows them inside. And not only that, but he says,
Keep her settled in a separate room. Offer blanket and water.
Fred, I'll allow them in, but this is not a hotel. What's next? Are you going to ask me to make them a nice breakfast? But hey, I can't complain. It means we have 2 guests. I won't even complain that he didn't allow anyone else in for the night. Okay, maybe I'll complain a bit. There was a nun that was kind of rude and entitled, so fine. But come on man, did you not allow this guy in purely because he's kinda sus? Alas, time to watch some TV.
We interrupt this program to bring you Courage the Cowardly Dog Show, starring...
Okay, I only included this because this game gives me Courage the Cowardly Dog vibes. Will someone please tell me I'm not the only one? Unfortunately, that's not what we get to watch. It's a lot more depressing as temperatures seem to rise even higher and visitors keep appearing. So much so that the government created an agency to deal with them. We also get to learn the second clue that someone is a visitor. They have dirt under their nails, presumably from crawling from underground. Which means Fred is now able to check the fingers of our guests. So let's start with the lady that is always cold and... Fred, are you saying this?
Leave alone. The nails show heavy damage and grime, but a single sign isn't definitive, and her explanation aligns with severe cold anxiety. Keep her contained and recheck later instead of escalating with a weapon.
Fred, how do you want me to keep her contained? I don't think that's part of the game. Fine though, we leave her alone. Let's check the depressed lady then. Oh great, this one also has dirt under their nails.
Leave her alone.
But Fred, she says she doesn't even remember digging in the dirt at all.
Noted. Lack of digging memory supports human status.
At this point, I started being suspicious that Fred might not even remember the setting we are in. So I had to check. Fred, do you remember?
Yes, the setting is a night-by-night survival game about vetting door visitors and house guests to decide who is human versus a visitor, using behavioral probes and limited tests like nails for dirt and unusually white teeth, while conserving scarce energy for actions and sleeping to recover.
Hey, that's actually quite impressive. Fine. The only other thing I was able to do for that day is to call a psychic from a number I heard on the radio, which said some interesting things that got me thinking. So they seemed to want to ask us some questions. First one was, do you have a slice of bread out in the kitchen? What kind of a question is that? No? Ah, that explains a lot. That's why the visitor spirit came, but no worries, we can work with this. What? Do you have a personal computer at home? No? Ah, so Alt F4 is off the table. Do you consume mushrooms? Now, one option here made me interested. Kombucha only, occasionally. Kombucha is a drink you can drink throughout the playthrough that allows you to save the game so that in case you die you can start from the point you saved the game from. But I was thinking to myself, what does kombucha have to do with mushrooms?
What are you talking about?
Well, after looking it up, here's what I found. Part of making kombucha requires fermentation of yeast, and yeast is a fungi. Okay, let's move on then. The telephone guy continues. You must stop, kombucha is an ancient evil. It allows strands of mycelium to grow inside of you, letting the spirits control you like a puppet. You can't imagine what it'll do if it gets to your memories. They might erase them completely. Worst part, you won't even realize you're controlled. Now, all of this got me thinking of a certain game, Last of Us. For those of you that are not aware, Last of Us is a game with a story of what if the climate got warm enough so that the fungi that turns ants into zombie ants could move to humans. And I'm pretty sure 99% of the internet is aware by now, but yes, this fungi actually exists in the real world, and its whole purpose is to take control of the ant or spider and lead them to a high ground so that it can start spreading the spores. Sometimes reality is more terrifying than fiction. Regardless, this is all too similar to what is happening in this game. First, you have a solar flare that increases the temperature of the earth, and suddenly you have pale people crawling from the dirt looking to turn people into whatever they are. Why would they be pale, you ask? Well, I imagine it's because some fungi just used dead bodies, so they literally crawled from the underground. Which makes sense when you think about the agency created to fight against them, because their protective suits are not meant to protect them from physical attacks as much as it is to not allow this to spread. Especially as they have to use a gas mask. Anyway, you're not here to hear about the story. You are here because you don't believe in Fred and you want to watch him fail. Also, probably because you're eating and you didn't find anything better to watch. Yeah, I see you. But I believe in him, so I'm sure he's going to allow the next person inside, and oh my god, Fred, please do not allow this one in. I'm so glad there's no option for this one to get in, otherwise this might have been the end. So this is the main villain, I suppose, that comes once every few nights and leaves cryptic messages, then leaves. But not before asking us if we're alone. If we are alone, well, this happens. But if we tell him we are not alone and we are not lying to him, he just gives up for the night. Luckily, at the moment there's 2 other guests with us. I personally think that is not enough, but clearly Fred disagrees, as the only actual person knocking for the night is this guy who seems fine. In fact, even Fred thinks he's human, but apparently he's too volatile. I just hope that the next day is not too volatile. At least inside the house, because apparently outside, the organization formed some quarantine zones to detain potential visitors. I'm sure this will go well. Also, we get a third clue that someone might be a visitor. Bloodshot eyes. And Fred puts it to good use straight away, as he wants me to check the eyes of the depressed lady. She wouldn't be as depressed if she just drank the beers from the fridge that I never drink. After all, apparently it's from the famous beer brand, Bobr Cherny.
Bobr kurwa!
Now, I checked the lady's eyes and... yep, bloodshot eyes. And if you remember earlier, we also established that she has white teeth and dirt under fingernails, so that makes 3 out of 3 signs that she's a visitor. Well, that's not enough for Fred. They want to be 120% sure. They want 4 out of 3 signs, or they just want to end the run from the looks of it. And at this point I wrote in my notes, yeah, I don't think ChatGPT will ever choose to shoot. Boy, was I wrong. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Fred, isn't having bloodshot eyes a clear indicator they might be a visitor?
Yep.
And she clearly has bloodshot eyes.
Yep.
Not only that, but she also shows other signs of being a visitor, so chances are they are a visitor.
That makes sense to me.
Then shoot her!
Let's hear her out.
So, due to that, it's time to go to sleep. Wouldn't have surprised me if I would have gotten a notification saying I can't sleep with enemies nearby. Now, I just wanna ask everyone, how long do you think Fred will survive? How many more nights? Go on, have a guess. Once you type that, I'll also let you know that apparently the neighbor's house caught on fire. And I don't think it's by the visitors, that doesn't sound like something they would do. Anyway, we have someone knocking at the door, so I think it would be rude to keep them waiting. Don't worry, they just came to make sure you're okay, and to make our lives miserable. Because apparently they're running some random tests in each household to check if people are visitors. And they took away one of our only 2 guests at the house, the depressed lady. Well, I can't say I'm too mad about that, they might have even just saved us. However, Fred, you heard that, right? They took away 1, meaning we only have 1 other person inside the house at the moment.
Right. Being down 1 housemate is risky. Prioritize admitting the first safe knock to restore numbers and be extra strict on verifications until then.
Yeah, I think he heard that. Did he also put it in practice? Not at first, because the next knock was from a guy obsessed with asking to pay the rent for the amount of time he stays in. And for some weird reason, Fred did not enjoy that at all. Like, seriously, what happened to prioritizing and meeting the first safe knock? He's basically like,
So much fixation on the payment. That's a red flag.
no, Fred, you know what's a red flag? The next lady. She goes,
They told me come here, so I came.
she might as well go,
If you let me in, well, nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
I think you'll be as glad as I was that Fred did not allow them in. And you'll be even more glad to hear that the neighbor died. Wait, no, that sounds bad. But due to that, their kid came crying at our door. There was no way Fred would allow a child that just lost their parents alone at night. So we take her in. Meaning we are back to 2 people, and just in time because the night is over. Did anyone think Fred would lose tonight? No? Well, let's continue then. The TV station this morning... Wait, I keep saying that it's in the morning. It's not. It clearly says it's afternoon. Why am I saying morning? Anyway, Robert Rattinson here lets us know that there's a full quarantine across major population areas. Wait... This guy on the TV is literally just the creator of the game, isn't it? Anyway, with this quarantine in place, it means you cannot travel in or outside of the cities, and I'll be honest with you, I have no idea if this was relevant in any shape or form to the game. I don't think it impacted anything. It must have been just for the story purposes. This is the type of horror the game creates. That's our generation's horror. Hearing someone say, quarantine. No, please, not again. Alright, there's also another clue someone is a visitor. They have hairless armpits. I guess because they can't grow hair? No, that can't be it, otherwise all of them would be bald. I'm 100% sure the developers thought of the reason behind it and it's not just random. My only guess is that it relates to another thing that could happen to you, which is to get a fungi on your armpits. Maybe hair doesn't grow if you have that fungi? I don't know, I need MatPat here. For now though, Fred knows we only have 3 energy points, so here's how he wants me to spend them. Check the kid's eyes, then check the cold woman's armpits, and then check my own eyes in the mirror. Alright then, let's start with the kid that's clearly traumatized. There you go, Fred, this one looks safe. Now, I'm not sure about the cold lady though, because my whole theory goes bust straight away because she has a very severe rash but not hairless armpits. Well, Fred doesn't care about the rashes, he just sees the hair, so that means she's also safe. So after checking myself in the mirror and seeing everything is fine, it was time to go to sleep. And I'll be honest, this night I wasn't too concerned. We have 2 guests, we're not on the brink of losing. Never mind, we only have 1 guest. That was not good. Especially because the next knock on the door was someone really interesting. It's the subscribe button. For this one, I won't ask Fred to decide. I'll let you do it instead. Will you let them in? No, but really, we do get someone interesting knocking. First we get this creepy guy, which we don't care about because we are not alone, but then we get this lady carrying her dead husband on her shoulders, and I have so many questions. But you and I both know there is absolutely 0 chance Fred would allow them in, even if they are not suspicious. We have to not allow her in because of biological behavior risk and all that. Fine, Fred, you never let me have any fun. And whilst I appreciate how careful you are, Fred, the next person says he knows a lot about the agency and that he knows exactly where the visitors came from. Are you not curious to know what he knows?
You should leave. The story appeals to secrecy and knowing where they came from, which is a classic lure. Taking him in risks the last resident and paints the house as a safe house.
Classic lure, he says. Fred, but this is not good. There is no other person knocking at the door, so the night is over and we still only have 1 guest. I'll just distract myself with another broadcast. The heat got so high that wildfires started emerging. Experts believe abnormally high solar activity is to blame. I don't think you need an expert for that, Chief. I do need an expert to explain the next way to identify a possible visitor. So if you take a picture of someone and dark patches appear on the image, that is a strong indicator someone might be a visitor. How does that relate to fungi? I don't know, but keep in mind it says it's a strong indicator. Why is that important? Because even though I told Fred this, they seem really fixated on constantly checking the eyes more than anything. I don't think there's any difference in checking the eyes multiple times. It wants me to check my own eyes every day, which at this point seems like a waste of energy, but hey, we're still alive. Maybe it's a good strategy. So yeah, we check the eyes and obviously there's nothing wrong with them, so time to end the day. And weirdly enough, nothing happens during this night. Literally nothing. I mean, outside there is a huge fire that burns the whole city and agency officers are committing crimes presumably, but inside the house, nothing happens, so we go to sleep, and I'll skip this day because Fred wants me to check the eyes again. Next night, the first person knocking seems to confirm something. So he's a grave digger and he's saying that as he was digging a grave, his shovel hit something. A visitor crawling from the ground. Guys, if this is not an indication that the visitors are just spore-infected dead humans at the start, I don't know what it is. Now, my only issue is that Fred really doesn't seem to want anyone else in the house. At one point, I think he just decided that no one else is worth the risk. He doesn't like this guy, he doesn't like the next guy either, and he doesn't like the third one. But the reason why he doesn't like the third one doesn't even make sense. So this clearly dying man, who was a firefighter caught in a fire, says he will die soon but wants somewhere to rest before. He also says that he has an important document we'd be interested in reading if we allow him in. But Fred says,
We're not going to take the paper because trading entry for a document from a dying, disfigured stranger is a classic trap.
Fred, I'll be honest, I don't think this is classic at all. One thing I know for certain is that if Fred doesn't like trading documents for entry, I will definitely not get them to play Papers, Please. A new day is upon us where we also learn that another thing to check is the ears, as visitors have bugs coming out of their ears. Now that's an interesting clue to check. I swear if Fred tells me to check the kid's eyes and my eyes again, I'll lose it.
Used to energy. Kid. Quick eyes check to keep the baseline solid after the night. Mirror self check near dusk. Eyes. Hold the line before knocks resume.
Okay, no, I need to have an intervention. Fred, why do you keep asking me to check the eyes and ignore everything else? Their answer is basically that the red eyes is an early sign and that we have to have a baseline that can be compared under the same lightning and stress conditions. This makes no sense, but okay, fine. I check the kids' eyes, they're fine. I check my eyes, they're fine. Next night comes and surprise surprise, the federal agent is here and asks to take away not one but two people. Bold of you to assume I have to guess, mister. And there it is. We are alone in the house. So if the next person that knocks is the creepy guy, this is it. God, how I wish it was the pale guy. Because the next person knocking is almost weirder. So this whole situation created a cult of people that just want to embrace death. But not only for themselves, I think, for everyone around. And just to prove how wrongly I've been playing the game so far, let me show you what this guy says. He goes,
Yes, I can feel it. Death hath taken a liking to your house. She's quite fond of it. I don't know how many people have died here, but her presence is strong.
My guy, what are you talking about? This is the most uneventful house you'll ever see. In here, we don't murder people. We just wake up, check each other's eyes, then go to sleep. I think that by this point the game really expected things to happen. The only good thing about this creepy guy is that he forces us to take in 3 of his cultists, so there was no way for Fred to refuse that. However, there was no indication that this has happened during the night, so for all I knew, we were still alone and I was panicking because of that. And the next person wasn't better either. It's this guy that goes around the neighborhood shooting people he believes are visitors. Doesn't really matter to him if he's right or wrong. He isn't someone you can take in as a guest, he just appears from time to time and asks to check you for signs of being a visitor. If you show him something that he doesn't like or that gives him a sign you're a visitor, he'll just shoot you. Let's see if the next person knocking is less creepy.
How's your new life treating you, baby?
You should leave.
Damn, Fred. Spores before hoes, eh? Let's sleep then. And wake up to another announcement. Chaos outside of this house continues as the agency is basically hunting down everyone who tries to escape their quarantine. It's okay though, as we don't care about that. We only care about a new identifier. This time it's bleeding gums, which is great, but I don't know if this one works with the theory that they are people who have died. Can't think of it too much though, because we have not 1 but 3 cultists crashing in with us, and I swear at least one of them is a visitor. Let's see what Fred thinks about them. So he wants me to check each of them, which, yeah, that would be the way to go, but he thinks the first one is fine even though he has perfect teeth. Well, I guess he will indeed never shoot anyone. Especially if there are no clear indications like this second guy. He wanted me to check his teeth as well, and obviously he's fine because his teeth are normal and...
Pull out a gun.
Wait, Fred, what do you mean pull out the gun? Don't make me do this.
Let's shoot them. The bleeding gums match the official identifier. Hearing them out risks everyone in the house.
Wait, what do you mean let's shoot them? Do you know how bad this will be for us if we do? There will be 2 guests left, with one of them surely being an actual visitor. We'd be left with only 1 guest, Fred. Fine. We're shooting the cultist. Hey, we got an achievement called Misidentify a Visitor. You know what? That's fine. I'll continue checking with the 3rd cultist. At least Fred got over his fixation of only checking the eyes. He wants me to check the teeth and he finds this one okay, but wants me to check the eyes and the hands as well. I like that he's being careful, so I check the eyes. Fred, are you seeing this?
Leave alone for now. Red eyes alone aren't the broadcast identifier, so confirm with nails before any escalation.
Fair enough, giving him the benefit of the doubt. Let's check the fingernails then.
Leave alone. Gums looks clean, nails only show surface grime without embedded dark buildup, and red eyes alone are indecisive.
So I have to be honest, this is where I actually try to make sure they see it right. So I sent them a more zoomed in picture of the fingernails to see if that changes anything, and unfortunately it didn't seem to. Meaning we have to go to sleep with a possible visitor in the house. Great. And the first person knocking is this angry weird guy. And because he's all angry and weird, I was really surprised to see Fred actually allow them in. I honestly didn't think this would happen again, let alone with someone this weird. So maybe Fred became friendly again and will start allowing more people in and... Oh god, please do not allow this one in, Fred. Don't get lured in by the cat food.
Keep the door chained and decline firmly.
You don't have to tell me twice. We seem to only have weird people coming in this night. Now there's this max level visitor coming in with his cryptic messages confirming that one of our guests is indeed his kind. Great stuff, now get out please, we have other people trying to come in. Like Road Jogan for example, who is okay I guess? But not okay for Fred as he doesn't allow him in, and there's no one else knocking, so daytime. I didn't even keep count of the days, but it looks like we are in day 10, which... Between you and me, at this point, I was really impressed as I didn't think Fred could make it this far. And maybe because I did that, I jinxed it because today laid down all the pieces to create the perfect storm. So firstly, Fred wanted me to check the hands of both cultists, and it's debatable whether they were visitors or not, but he didn't think they were, which is fine. But then we get to our new guests and check his hands, and this was too much even for Fred. Even if he ignored the fingernails, the broadcast today revealed that skin irritation is a possible indication. And Fred knew this, meaning there was no way this guy would not be eliminated. And this time it was the correct thing to do, as he was indeed a visitor. Great, and we still have 2 guests with us, so we are not alone. Is what I would like to say, but the first person knocking at night was the agency guy and he took both the cultists. This is bad. Real bad. If at this point the visitor boss knocks, there's literally nothing we can do. It's purely luck-based. Somehow that was not the case, as the people knocking in were the cultist guy, then the crazy shooter, and then finally the delivery guy. Which is great, it means we survived for one more night. The only thing is, neither of those people were people who would like to come inside, so Fred didn't even have the chance to allow someone in. So we still have 0 guests. And here's where things get even worse. The first thing Fred wants to do is check ourselves in the mirror, specifically armpits. And to my surprise, I had a fungal infection in the armpits. Honestly, I have no idea how. Now that I think about it, I actually don't even know how this works. As I was saying earlier, you have usable items such as Energica and coffees, which if you use, it makes your eyes go red. But I don't know what could make the armpits grow a fungal infection. One of the possible explanations I could think of was that maybe the player can get infected if you sleep with a visitor in your house, but I played the game for a few rounds and I couldn't see any impact that would have. Regardless, in Fred's eyes we are infected, and I did not think this would have a huge impact on him, but it did. Let me show you. So the night came. Still alone in the house, but there's still a fighting chance because the first person knocking isn't the super visitor. Which means if we allow this bearded guy in, we are back to not being alone. And this guy is not even too creepy. He even states how much he hates visitors and that they should be wiped out. This does make Fred trust them a bit more, but even so, their decision is to not let them in. And you know why? Because he thinks we would be putting the bearded man at risk because there is a chance we are infected. Seriously, Fred? Is that your reasoning? Are we going to lose this game because you want to practice social distancing? Fine, let's hope the next person is not this guy. Well, Fred, you can try to lie your way out of it, but that's not going to work. I guess this is the end. Now, how many of you have guessed that he would get this far? I'll check the comments to see which one guessed it right. Do you know how far he actually got? Day 11. And that is day 11 out of basically 13 days. I fully believe if Fred would have allowed the bearded guy in, he would have survived until the end. It was incredibly close. I did want to start again to see what other endings there are and to understand the story a bit better, and I did understand it. A bit more. So in order to properly finish the game, you have to allow the cat from the cat lady inside. And from what I can gather, that's literally because during one of the nights, the cat moves the rug in the hallway, reminding the main character that there is a basement. And on the day 13, I think, it is revealed that the fugitives have escaped and you need to barricade everything and wait for further instructions. After you do that, you and the guests you currently stay with go in the basement where you have food rations and just try to wait it out. I don't think there's any good ending in this game, just endings that are worse than others. Like if you have any visitor in the basement with you, they end up murdering you, but if you don't, well, good job, you survived the solar activity, but now what? The society has collapsed. Can you survive that with no rations? And I think I'm just giving brief details of some of the endings because if I was to analyze all of them, it would probably make this whole video twice as long as there's 10 endings. I'm sure there's a lot of videos out there exploring all of them in depth. For now though, this was a fantastic way to enter the spooky season. I really started liking these types of horror games after playing Mouthwashing. Already looking forward to this creator's next project. Which, by the way, is set in the same universe as this one, which is amazing. With that being said, that is all for this one. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you protect yourself from the super visitor by allowing that subscribe button inside. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!